Good afternoon. The benefit of coming at this slot later in the afternoon is that I've had some presenters that have been here before me and have mentioned some of the systems that I'm going to talk about. So some of the detail has already been given there, but I'd like to give our perspective on how we are working with those customers and getting systems in place, and also what we're doing in a broader context. What we're looking at doing is, our vision is to put a fully integrated whole of transport payments and information system in as an integrated solution to drive benefits and efficiencies for operators and for travellers alike. So this is what I would like to talk about. So intelligent travel made real. This is the Cubic mission statement, but this is really what we live by. This is actually turning ideas and visions into real technical solutions that deliver benefits for our customers. The reason we're doing this is that we know that populations around the world are growing and becoming increasingly urbanized, and that this is meaning that mega cities are growing, urban conurbations are growing, and that's leading to a much greater congestion, and we know that the environmental impact on that is not good, and that managing the infrastructure to support that increased demand is a very, very difficult thing to do. And in established cities like London, it's incredibly difficult where, they've been established over centuries, and making modifications, even upgrades. I don't know if anybody's been watching the programs that have been running on the TV here about the tube and about the issues that TfL have with operating and managing and running a very effective urban transit system, and it's really quite fascinating to see the challenges they face. And these are things that are going to be faced by countries where they have emerging systems and they're building up these large networks. So it doesn't really matter whether it's an old or new thing. These challenges are going to be faced by everybody operating a system one way or another. So operators, authorities and travellers, we believe, need more information to make informed decisions about the best use of transportation. An efficient transportation network demands need to be predicted and managed to make for efficiency. And that information needs to be available on a virtually real-time basis to have any kind of value to it. So the focus we have is that we believe that integration of payment and information systems will drive the sources of information and bring these together. And we are talking about here integration, not in the sort of broader sense that some of the previous presenters have been talking about, where, talking about integration of entire regional areas or transportation modes. Now, we're looking at actually specifically integrating that information together. We're looking at integration of front office devices. These are smartphones, these are in-car, sat-nav systems, tagging systems for tolling, as well as infrastructure systems like parking solutions, the retailing systems that deliver tickets of all different types. With the back office systems that agglomerate all this data and turn it into real valuable, usable information, managing people's money, really important, the traveller's money, the operator's money, but also the data that's going to allow for planners to really sort of understand how the systems are being operated and to make informed decisions about what they can do in the future. So how does the world of tomorrow look? We believe that the world of tomorrow will have information available for operators and authorities that can give them a much better ability to be able to manage sort of disruption or overcrowding, and to be able to provide services that really fit the user's need at that particular time. And travellers would have the best information available to them to be able to make informed choices about which mode of travel they should use. And charging would be based on what the user actually uses, rather than the charge that's a sort of aggregated over all of the uses or demands, and it manages sort of an efficient means of providing a fair price or an attractive price to incentivize people to use public transport. And we heard earlier about the need to move away from public transport's challenge of moving people away from car use, and incentivizing through fares and actually affecting people's wallets is going to be a very effective way, as we know. Shasha talked about smart cards driving really substantial growth in public transport usage. So we also believe that the world of tomorrow will be based on a single personal account. Travellers would also be able to set up preferences which establish patterns of usage, which actually means that there's a better, more sort of aligned communication with them to get the right information to them, not just blanket coverage, but actually personalised and specific. So, revenue connection has changed, and we as an organisation have changed with it. Mechanical systems were, such as the gates and the vending machines, were the source of Cubic's revenue. These were really the fundamentals of our business, and over time we've moved from being a specific manufacturer to a systems and services provider. And that's really how we see the effective use of our resources and to be able to offer solutions to the customers. So we see ourselves as a service business here. Today, for the world's major cities, we do this from the end to end. So we design, we test, we do integration. And it's particularly important to integrate all of the various systems that are going to be operating together and to make sure that before these are deployed, that they are actually going to give the service that is actually required. There are a number of examples that we can see around the world where there's not quite a joined up system, and so integration in making a seamless solution for an end-to-end journey is a really important sort of fundamental for what we're doing on a design basis. And we also work with our customers on a partnership basis. So we think that it's really important. Vancouver, talk about some of the reference projects we have, but Vancouver has placed an order with us. It's the third major iteration of the fare collection solution that they have. London, we've been very lucky to work with them for many, many years. And understanding our customers' needs and working with our customer, and we get a lot of really good suggestions from our customers, we get a lot of really good feedback. We also have the ability to sort of enter into a substantial dialogue with our customers, which helps us to understand how we actually design systems for all users, not just from our own or a sort of technical or an engineering basis. So this slide here is very similar to what you might have seen from a couple of the previous presenters, talking about cash being sort of centuries old as a solution, really high fraud risk. But cash is also, it's an interruptive means of actually paying for a journey. I mean, if you are used to using a smart card now, you will go onto a bus or through a gate onto a train, and you'll tap your card and move through seamlessly. But you think about getting on a bus and paying with cash, you're standing there and everybody's got to fumble for change, and you've got to interact with the driver. And it's a very, it's a very poor solution, really. So I won't dwell too much on this because it has been discussed. But the important thing is that when we move to a smart environment and we have a reader, such as the TR3 that we are deploying, it has the ability to read multiple different card formats that are complying to the relevant standards. And that means that we can actually become media agnostic, and we can do what has been discussed about using ID cards or any kind of other smart media. So it may be, this facilitates uses of phones, and all the sort of benefits that using a smartphone will be able to bring, particularly if NFC really does get market traction and to provide an automated payment method in the same way that a contactless bank card is doing at the moment. So this is a view of a public transport e-payment architecture, and the important points here are that, that there are two main points. There's a passenger interface and a back office system that operates it. The e-payment solution provides the ability to have an integrated fare structure and also integrated the ability to develop an integrated fares policy around that. So we have one of the reasons that public transport usage has been driven up in London is the ability to be able to operate flat fares. Here in the UK, for those that have been following what's been happening in the rail market, there's the McNulty report that came out last year, which is talking about how smart ticketing can be used to, and the information that is generated from that can be used to make particular offerings to drive usage, to change cultures, maybe move people away from always travelling within a particular rush hour if they don't need to, but incentivizing them to use different times of the day for travel, and to particularly to buy tickets in advance and to drive people out of that just turn up and buy situation. It causes all sorts of problems with queues at ticket offices and disruption to planned services, overcrowding, and the like. So, okay. The information allows demand to be understood and to be better managed. Really. So I have a few slides just to give some ideas of reference projects. This is not all vision and ideal. This is actually what we've been doing over a number of years on our migration path. London, last year we replaced over 20,000 Oyster readers with a new reader that's capable of reading Oyster, ITSO and EMV, so multi-format cards. This year we are going to be accepting flat fare open payments through contactless bank cards on 8,500 of the buses that operate in the TfL area. And then from this year to 2014, there's a gradual rollout of ITSO and open payments across the whole of the TfL network. Sydney is as a contract that was awarded in 2010. At the moment, it's a sort of version of Oyster that's being set up. And again, it's multimodal, so it's rail, it's bus, and it's also ferry traffic. But there's an option in the design to be able to migrate from the Oyster system to an open payments architecture going forwards. PATCO, which is the port authority that runs through New Jersey. There's a scheme that's running here. It's a trial scheme that's running in 2 phases. The first 6 months there's a closed transit. The American version of the EMV card, which is an MSD card, which is magstripe data. And it's a card that's going to be issued by us and operated in a closed situation just to make sure that we can understand how it all works and how the marketing will work around it and how the operator will get and use the data. And then there's a second phase where it's going to be opened up to all contactless bank cards. So. Vancouver. Mike spoke a lot about what we're doing in Vancouver. But this is a system that's being upgraded at the moment from the various forms of closed-loop smart card to accepting open cards, as well as actually accepting the existing smart cards. And then Chicago. This is, again, it's a project that's in progress and very, very tight timelines here. This is to replace all of the smart cards in Chicago with open payments cards. And the whole business model that we have is all about actually migrating people from their existing cards and incentivizing them to change to the new open bank cards. The way this is going to be done, and there's some interesting aspects of this that in sort of comparison to London, in that whereas a lot of London's journeys are sort of day passes or pay-as-you-go transactions, Chicago is almost, well, sort of a very high percentage, I should say, of weekly passes or season passes. So there's a more ability to be able to understand and migrate people away, so we can either increase the fares to incentivize people to move from one card system to another, or when cards come up to an expiry point or they can be end-of-lifed, then we can actually force people to actually have to change over to the new scheme. But it offers all the benefits that Shashi talked about earlier about cost saving and not have to do the card issuing and the specific card management. And it also generates all the benefit of actually owning the owning is probably a little too firm a word, but understanding the customer through interaction through the account, and particularly the ability to sort of get people to opt into providing access to various forms of their own personal data for use for transport planning and also for retailing opportunities that come from the use of that data. What am I doing for time? I seem to have a count up timer here rather than a countdown, but anyway. The integrated transportation, intelligent transportation system. So the key factors in a journey choice are cost, timeliness, reliability, and the environmental impact. And so we see that all of these things interact together for the various involved stakeholder groups, so travellers, planners, and operators alike. So integration should give operators and authorities a chance to understand and influence these factors. But it does require high quality, real-time and accurate information to be made available to them to be able to make those informed decisions. And also the travellers need to have access to useful information to be able to plan their journeys and to make the informed choices. Information that is gathered is not just, it needs to be available virtually real time, but it also needs to be recorded and used in trend analysis to see where usage is most significant, times of day, types of travellers, and that sort of thing. And so by collecting information, it does inform a whole load of management decisions and assists planning and development going forwards. So the other thing is that, as users, we have a lot of choice about the different transportation modes that we use. I mean, we could use cars, but we could also use all of the different transportation modes that are listed across the bottom here. And as an authority or an operator, there will be even more that are going to be involved in the whole of the transportation and planning process. And so one of the examples that I come across, and in fact actually it affected me on my journey here today, was that I went to the railway station and I don't use cash very often, so I'd gone to my little pot of coins that I keep in the car. And I knew that the car park took £5.10 in cash to buy my ticket. And when I got there to the machine, the price had gone up to £5.30. So I didn't have an extra 20p. So I had to go and buy a packet of mints so I could get some cash to then go and park my car to get my train. And it was only, thankfully, that there was some delay on the line that meant the train was delayed that allowed me to make the journey that I wanted to get to. But it's actually not very good as an integrated transportation network. I actually really, as a traveller, not just somebody who works in the industry or works in a supply company, but I want to leave my house and I want to get to where I'm going. And I don't really want to have to transact with a parking company and transact with a train company and transact with a bus company and to have to use all their different payment methods and to have enough cash just because they've put the parking price up. really, what I would like to do is to, use the vision that has been expressed by us and by some of the other speakers, that have one simple way that I choose. It may be that I choose a phone. It may be that somebody else chooses a card, an ID card. And this choice should be available to all of us, and it'd be convenient for our own lifestyles. But, I want to be able to pay for my parking, pay for my train, pay for my bus. And at the end of the day, I'd like to get an account that says, actually, how much was my journey costing me? How can I plan my journey? Maybe I can make informed choices as to actually using different transportation modes to actually, travel at a different time, save me money, get there more quickly, or just make it more convenient. One of the things that hasn't been talked about with smart card use, but I think is a really important thing, is just convenience. And I'm sure that, travelling around London, there are people who will take their card out of their pocket and use it on the underground or on the buses because it's the most convenient manner. And they won't worry about all the things that we're talking about here, the things that we in the industry understand. But, just the pure convenience of being able to make a journey without interruption or having to have all of those things available to us is a very, very valuable thing that we overlook sometimes. Oops, all right. So this is the very similar to the model I put up a couple of slides back, but this is how Cubic has architected its future technology development. So we have the interface with real-time and legacy systems. As a systems integrator and bringing new systems into market, we recognise the importance of actually not going to a customer and saying, the only way to make this work is to throw away everything you've invested your time and effort in up to now, because we've got something better. Actually, what we really want to do is say, these things are very complicated and they take a lot of time to implement, and you've taken a lot of care and attention in actually working with your internal people and also with the customers in getting these things up and running. But time doesn't stand still, and change needs to happen, and there are advantages and benefits through change. So we can overlay different systems with existing legacy systems, and part of the systems integrator role is to make sure that that works, and actually to do the test and make sure that you don't introduce problems by introducing change. So we've also developed our own technology solutions here. So under the Next City brand as a solutions brand, we have Next Account, which is a payments and information engine. We have Next Contact, which is effectively customer information management or customer relationship management. And this is the communication of data and information in two ways, or rather the analysis of data and the communication of information. Next Ledger is revenue management. We want to make sure that settlement is done properly, that the right funds are transferred to the right people at the right time. Thank you. And Next Info is, again, a critical thing for operators, is to make sure that the right management information and reports are provided so that all this valuable data can be turned into useful and valuable information for informed decisions. So one of the ways that this is going to be delivered, we believe, is that, as has been mentioned earlier, is the process of moving from doing transactions at the reader and doing it in the back office. If the information can be moved to the back office, there's a lot more processing power and ability to do analysis, and also capacity of time to be able to do a much greater range of things. So that's a really critical aspect of it. So. Also, that multiple sources of payment and transaction are actually integrated into a single account, because, as I said, we want to make our own choices about how we want to do things. But really, to get that benefit of actually having a seamless end-to-end journey, we want to be able to get the information from the back office. Okay, and so we recognise also that the journey to an integrated vision is not an easy one. So this diagram here explains an example of the steps that might be taken to get to that integrated position. So on the horizontal axis here, we've got the gradual integration of payments across all transportation modes. And on the vertical axis, we've got creation of an integrated platform of systems. So we recognise it's going to take some time, and it's going to involve decisions and funding, and also policymakers to get involved in this and to understand the benefits that can be generated. But we do believe it's a journey that's worth pursuing. So the benefits we see are that for the traveller, there's convenience and the need not to have multiple accounts. There's one single point of managing mobility-related expenditure, and that's really, for many people who are paying out lots of money for season tickets and the like, it's a really really critical thing for their own sort of household budgeting. So a really critical requirement. And also that in this day of information being available to us all through internet and phones and radios and TV and it's everywhere, it's actually very useful to get specific personalised information that is valuable to what you're trying to do at that time. So by delivering information that's specific for your particular journey, particularly if there's disrupted travel, there's been examples where there's been snow or there's been a train cancellation, and hopefully we haven't experienced it too often, but there'll be a sign on the station that will say train cancelled. And I don't find that particularly helpful. I actually want to know, okay, that train's cancelled, but how can I get home? And so this is a way of actually understanding the journey that the person is trying to make and actually assisting them with providing alternative information about how they can actually make that journey. It's good for the operators that the cost of payment processing can be reduced. And for some of the major operators, there is volume that actually makes it cost effective to run their own systems. But there are many operators, and it may not be, we're calling this Next City, but Next City is a concept that can be applied to a train operating company or a bus company in equal measure. And many of these companies don't have the size and volume to be able to manage their own systems. So by being able to provide a sort of commonalized solution that could be delivered to people on a usage basis, allows them to access all of the benefits that we've been talking about here, but actually on a transaction basis, they pay for what they need. So there's a way of actually using volume through the market to actually provide valuable services at an affordable cost to smaller operators. Richer patronage information to be able to make informed decisions, as we said, and also the ability to be able to incentivize and to migrate people from one transportation mode to another, but also to guide them and to change thinking practices and the way they use public transport, and better planning for the planners and authorities. Also, the advantage is that many of these systems exist today, and that actually what we're trying to do is pull lots of threads together into an integrated solution rather than necessarily invent everything from ground up every time. So I'm going to bring this to a close now. I'd just like to summarise this as to say that a Next City vision would actually bring one account for all transportation modes. It brings personalisation, brings real-time passenger information, and it's an integrated solution, smarter pricing, and leverages existing assets. Ooh, click.
Great.
Thank you very much.